Hey.
Alright, so we're in the dead of the NBA offseason. Luckily, we do have the FIBA World Cup going on, and that's providing us with some good basketball with some NBA players. Obviously, Team USA has got a squad, and so far, undefeated through their first couple of games and scrimmages. But the most important storyline is that Anthony Edwards has taken center stage as the head of NBA media, and basically is just a fan favorite right now. And there's not really any good reason to hate on Anthony Edwards. Tremendous basketball player, still very young and has a ways to go until he hits his prime. And so far has proven that he's already one of the cooler NBA personalities in the league, and it's just a cool guy to follow. And I know it's become a meme with the little, half Anthony Edwards, half Michael Jordan, cross face swapping thing picture that goes around every time Anthony Edwards does something cool. But there's a lot of truth to that meme as well, as Anthony Edwards might just be the best guard to play in the NBA since Kobe Bryant, to be honest. And you can tell he takes a lot from Kobe and Michael Jordan's game. And I'm not sitting here saying that Anthony Edwards is going to go out and win 5 championships from here on out for the rest of his career. But the point I'm trying to get at is he has that just knack that a generational talent needs at the guard position. He has all of the intangibles, all of the tools to go out and be a generational player. Which is really funny considering if you look back at his draft cycle, there were legitimately people, including me, that were questioning whether he actually loved the game of basketball or not. And that was a legit talking point as to why he shouldn't be taken number 1. But I'm glad all that stuff is out of the way and settled by now. Anyway, I'm not going to sit here and tell you what everyone else in the NBA media world has told you, that, Ant Edwards could be an MVP candidate next season, that Ant Edwards is the next coming of Jesus himself, or go over any stats or anything, because who cares? We all know it. Anthony Edwards is a great player. He's going to continue to be a great player. And again, he's only going to be 22 this next season. He's not even close to reaching his full prime yet, full potential, which is an even scarier thing to think about. So I went back and watched some Anthony Edwards tape from this past season, and I'm just going to point out some really niche things that I found interesting from watching and hope that you guys learned something, because again, I imagine you've consumed a lot of Anthony Edwards content in the past couple of weeks or just throughout this entire summer. So let's just enjoy some Anthony Edwards highlights. Let's start with his driving, because that is certainly, at least in my opinion, his best and most powerful skill in the basketball court. As I already mentioned, Anthony Edwards is a freak of nature. In terms of just being an all-around athlete, he's got to be at least near the top of the list if he's not at the top in the number 1 spot. Just the combination of speed, acceleration, size, strength, vertical. I'm not sure if anyone else is coming close to matching Anthony Edwards in those 5 areas. And this athleticism is on full display when he's attacking closeouts or driving the lane, getting to the rim, as he shows off all 5 of those tools. He's an extremely tough player to close out on because he's got that slow release, he's got the pump fake down, and if you even just give him a split second to go by you, he will accelerate, hit the gas, and get to the rim. And if he decides to go the layup route, I noticed that the Euro step is definitely his go-to move in getting a shot up at the rim. He busts out a spin or something else every now and then, but the Euro step is mainly his go-to for the most part. And you might be saying to yourself, that seems kind of one-dimensional. Why does that work for him? But again, it's just because he's a freak athlete. He's tremendous at accelerating to the rim, but once he goes into the Euro step, he's also really great, just as equally great at decelerating and getting a shot off. He's also able to cover a lot of ground, both horizontally during his gather, and then once he takes off, he's able to use that vertical to hang in the air longer than the defense, which allows him to get a cleaner shot off than most people in the NBA. And even if he's driving at a larger big man like a Brook Lopez or other, depoy candidates, he's so good at using that strength. He's like a little bowling ball, a little cannonball shot out of a cannon, puts his shoulder down into the bigger defender, knocks them off balance, and then again, he uses that hang time to get a clean shot off. The really fun part about Anthony Edwards driving to the rim is that he doesn't always settle for layups. There are many times where he will go and complete a dunk no matter how many people are in the lane, and he's just able to take off from positions where no other or very few other NBA players are able to. Anthony Edwards is a tremendous 2-foot leaper, and what I mean by that is, if you see him driving to the rim and you see him plant as he's going to jump off of both feet and not just one, then he's getting some extra bounce in under his legs, and he's going to have a tremendous amount of hang time. He gets to the rim super quickly that way, and it just allows him to take off from points that you shouldn't be able to take off from and still be able to dunk over or around people. He's also had some crazy layups going off of 2 feet, where again, just the hang time gives him so much space and opportunity to get a clean shot off. Basically, the point I'm trying to get to is that Anthony Edwards might just be one of the best drivers, if not the best driver in the entire NBA right now, and he's only going to get better from here. And it's not even like you can just sit and drop defense or protect the paint on him and let him shoot, because he can also shoot as well. He's pretty dangerous in the mid-range, can hit threes. He was at like a 36% clip last year, which is a little bit above average. And, he takes a lot of threes, though, so the efficiency isn't always there. But if the drive to the rim isn't there, he's perfectly fine hitting a combo dribble and pulling up from the mid-range with some other just unguardable shots that he hits constantly. He is very easily a 3-level scorer, and it will only be a certain amount of time before defenses are going to be forced to go over screens on him on the perimeter, which again will just make his driving game that more dangerous. Now, another reason why Anthony Edwards is being heralded to be the next face of the NBA, one of the next faces of the NBA, and a part that I think a lot of people gloss over, is how tremendous of a defensive player Anthony Edwards is as well. It's a huge reason why Michael Jordan saw as much success as he did, and it's another huge reason why so many people make the MJ comparisons in the first place between these two players. And it's because, just like MJ, Anthony Edwards is also an elite point of attack defender at the top of the key. He can turn it on in a switch, just snap of the fingers, and he can get locked in and clamp the other team's best player on the perimeter. He's also one of the best in the league at just stripping ball handlers, getting steals, and getting out onto the other end on a fast break for a very quick dunk. And before you even know it, he can rack up points that way very easily. He's also not afraid to take risks and chances on defense, go for pokes from behind, jump passing lanes, go for crazy blocks, because for the most part, even if he doesn't succeed in that first attempt, he has, again, just the crazy athleticism to get back in the play and still make an impact defensively. And another thing that I absolutely love about Anthony Edwards is that on a team with Rudy Gobert, a great rim protector, one of the best the league has ever seen. A lot of teams like to pull him out to the 3-point line with pick and rolls or just other actions to, again, get a really good rim protector away from the rim. But the thing they forget about is that usually leaves Anthony Edwards, if he's on the weak side and he's the help defense, he's also a very good rim protector as well. He can be your secondary guy. He gets up quick, he's able to block shots that you probably just don't think he'll get to, because again, the athleticism is crazy. And then I'll wrap this up with the passing, because this is probably the weakest area of Anthony Edwards' game, but it's by no means a bad area of his game. He's at the point where he doesn't have to be a crazy good playmaker to get assists. He was up over 4 a game for the first time in his career this past season. He's able to get a lot of them by driving to the rim, attracting many defenders, and then kicking out for wide open threes or just things like that. He gets some assists out of the pick and roll. He's got the lob down to Rudy Gobert. But I was also pleasantly surprised to see a few assists from this past season where he was dropping absolute dimes, one-handed, off the bounce, off the dribble, left-handed skip passes across the court. And it's those passes that get me really excited, because those show that he's had a few instances where he's hit that next tier of playmaking that can make him a really extremely dangerous offensive basketball player. And if he can get to a point where he routinely is making these kinds of passes or just increasing his passing chops in general, if he gets up to like 6-7 assists, then I don't really know how else you are going to be able to stop him unless you just get lucky and he's missing shots. And one last thing to go off of the lefty one-handed skip passes, he's incredibly ambidextrous. Driving to the rim, making passes, dribbling the ball. He has no weak hand. In fact, I feel like he had more finishes with his left than his right. And maybe that's just because guys are forcing him left. And he's just eating with the left hand anyway, because he's just as good with the left as he is with the right. And that's something that I think gets taken for granted a lot with these NBA superstars. Because I'm a Celtics fan, and I love Jason Tatum, love him with all my heart. But at the same time, that man still does not really finish that well with his left hand, and it was something that would annoy me throughout his first like 3 to 4 seasons, because it was just a miss every time he tried to go to the left side of the hoop. But yeah, again, I don't want to reiterate what a bunch of people have already been saying these past couple of weeks about Anthony Edwards. He just absolutely oozes confidence on the basketball court. He sees himself as the best player out there day in and day out, and he is in a lot of scenarios. You can't deny him that. He is a tremendous player, a tremendous athlete. You could give him the ball and tell him to go get you a bucket, and he's able to do that at any point in the game. He can also blow things up defensively. He's so good at creating turnovers and getting easy buckets in transition from his great defense. He had an extremely great year 3 in the league, and to think that in year 4, he's only going to be getting better. He's also going to be adding Karl-Anthony Towns back to the rotation, which is going to take a whole bunch of pressure off of him offensively and open up even more routes for him to get points and get buckets and make things easier for him. So I can only imagine how great of a season we're about to get from Anthony Edwards. I know later on in the offseason, I'll be making some predictions about Eastern Conference and Western Conference standings, and one thing I can tell you right now for sure is I'm going to be irrationally high on the Minnesota Timberwolves. Even though they burned me last year, I just don't see a way that this team doesn't finish at least top 4 in the West unless they just deal with a bunch of injuries again. And it will be Anthony Edwards at the head of that attack. Rudy Gobert, great defender, okay person, not going to get into that. But him and Karl-Anthony Towns, I think they have to understand that this needs to be Anthony Edwards' team for the Timberwolves to be successful. And I am so excited to get into the Anthony Edwards era. Again, he's only going to be 22 next year. It's really crazy to think about. He's already going to be an MVP candidate. But anyway, that is enough of me talking about Anthony Edwards. As always, if you enjoyed the video, like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. And I'll see you all in the next one.